Thanks again, Katie, for the introduction. My name is Philip Durbin. I'm a developer for Dataverse. And Dataverse is open source research data repository software. What does that mean? It means that if you have research data, you can install our platform, which is suited for hosting such data. We're in 140, we have 140 installations across the world in 40 plus countries and in 14 languages. We have over 200 contributors on GitHub. We have our 12th annual uh, conference in May in Barcelona. You're all welcome. Our website is dataverse.org. We can learn more about us. And the way I came to give this talk is that my boss is participating in the CSCCE, the Burdero program for Dataverse. So she has said, hey, they want to do a talk about Zulip, and so that's why I'm here. Okay, here's the agenda for my talk. I'm going to talk about what Zulip is and then cover basics like reading and writing, moving messages, configuring access on channels, posting, a bit about the Zulip community, and then why we chose Zulip. So Zulip is an open source chat platform. It's like Slack, but I'd say it's better. I like to tell people that it looks like a forum, but it feels like chat. You have all that real-time messaging, so-and-so is typing sort of features in there. And as far as history, the company was founded in 2012. It was based on technology at MIT, open source in 2015. And then in 2012, this web public option that I'm going to talk about got announced that I got very excited about. And if you want a deeper dive on the history of Zulip, I would recommend Podcast Init episode 118, where the founder, Tim Abbott, talked all about a really deep dive into the technology and the philosophy of the project. Zulip has a very strong open source community with over 1,600 contributors. They do Google Summer of Code and other projects like that. And I think it's relevant to this community because there's a lot of scientific and technical communities that are using Zulip, such as Jupyter and Rust and Julia. So to cover the basics up front, like a lot of chat apps, you have channels. So here we see a general channel, for example. And what makes Zulip somewhat unique is that there are topics within these channels. So under the general channel, we see a topic called Moving to Zulip, or there's one called Happy Hour, one called Mentorship Program. So I would say that these take the place of threads, which that you see in some applications like Slack. So you've got channels and topics, and then the normal direct messages, and then reactions. You can give a thumbs up or whatever ta-da emoji like you're seeing in the screenshot. Up front, I want to emphasize that Zulip is optimized for reading. So you have this concept of a home view that's configurable. And then in their documentation, they even talk about reading strategies. So I feel like a lot of chat apps make it easy to write, just write. And then later the poor people come along and they try to read all these messages and make sense of them, and it's difficult. In Zulip, it's flipped upside down, where the emphasis is reading, which is you're going to spend a lot more time reading in a chat app than you do writing. And here I want to cover a scenario where you imagine a busy organization. This Zulip interface is showing the Zulip project itself, which is very busy. You'll see that in the design channel alone, there are almost 4,000 messages. So I want to give you a couple quick tips on if your Zulip organization grows to the point where it's hard to keep track of all the information. Zulip makes this easy to do, actually. So in this view, it's called the inbox. We see all the channels and then the topics within the channels. And then you can just easily see which topics have unread messages and which ones you might be interested in reading. Maybe you want to read about Google Summer of Code, you click that one, and you can ignore, maybe you don't care about the downtime, so you can skip that, you can mark as read. So it helps you see at a glance, the things that are on offer to read, and you can choose what's important to you. So that's the inbox view. And then another view is called recent conversations. And my pro tip for this one is that there are filters available at the top. So you can see include DMs, unread, and participated. I really like the participated tab because again, for a busy organization like Zulip, I'm not participating in a lot of threads, but I do care about the places where I've posted, so I can just check that box and easily have a view that's suited to me to see what I've been talking about. And now some more on topics. Okay. Again, we're optimizing for reading. Imagine you get back from vacation and, which do you want? The left or the right? On the left, we have this sort of like messy desk. And then in my world, I have a bunch of like Dataverse channels and then this threads uh, uh, thing I can click on in Slack. And who knows how many threads are in there? It could be dozens or hundreds of threads, and so they're all mixed together as one giant thing called threads. It's pretty stressful if you've been away for a bit. Versus the right, here's Zulip again. As before, we see channels, and within channels there are topics. You're calm. You can just decide what's important for you to read, and then mark as read everything else. Okay, so that's reading. Now let's get into writing. Um, I have to say that uh, other apps make it easier to write. There's a big box. You just start typing in the box. And Zulip hides that box. So at the bottom of the screen, you'll see this long compose message, new conversation, new direct message thing, the button. So you click that, and then you know where you can type. So look for that box. I'm pointing out that in the Zulip community, they're talking about an option for like a always open compose box, like a lot of apps have. But right now, it's just a pro tip that if you're confused, how do I type? Make sure you click down there first, and then you see what I'm showing on the right, where it says compose your message here. That's how you get there. And then also on the left, I'm showing this new topic button. If you just hover over any channel, you'll see this plus sign appear, and you can just click new topic to get a new topic going. Replying here is an example of what I mean, where you don't see where to type immediately. And so, you might click the kebab and you see quote message and you say, okay, that's close to what I want, not exactly. I want more of like a reply. And then if you hover at the bottom, you'll see reply to selected message. And then you click that and then you can type your reply there. And I bring some of this up because sometimes people will reply to an existing message when they mean to start a new topic, so they get a little confused. So I'm just trying to get ahead of that and help you out. But if you do reply and end up in the wrong topic, it's no problem. This is one of the killer features of Zulip is that you can move messages around. So here's the UI for it. You click the kebab, hit M or hit move messages. Then you're given this dialog where you can move messages to a different topic within the same channel, or maybe it's so off topic or there's an appropriate place for it in a different channel. So you can even move that single message across to a different channel, different topic, or start a new topic, or you can say, I want to move this message and everything after it to this other location. So this is just for me, a really important feature of Zulip. It helps keeps things quite tidy in your installation. Here's a bit about why you might want to move messages. Sometimes people will say things like, in the topic, they'll write something like, help me, or I'm confused, or something that's very generic like that. And it's not until you've been engaging with them a little bit that it comes to light what we're even talking about. So you can easily just rename the topic after you establish, well, it's not just help me, it's a specific item. Again, sometimes people will create a message that's a reply to an existing topic. It should have been its own topic, no problem. You just move the message to a new topic and problem solved. And then naturally, all of us, when we're chatting in these chat apps, we sort of wander, meander from here to there, topic to topic. it's okay to say, you know what, we have wandered, and now we can just move some of these last few messages to a new topic, and the original topic can continue. So it's just a way, again, to keep things organized as we all wander off topic. Okay, this is now the web public access option that I mentioned earlier. Dataverse is a open source project. So we're on GitHub. Our issue tracker there is open. We have a mailing list, a Google group that's also open. We can link between the two. You don't have to sign in to anything to read these messages. And we want chat to be the same way, so that if you leave a link in a GitHub issue to a message, to a conversation in chat, you don't have to sign up for an account for Zulip. You can just read it. And so that's what this web public option is. So as soon as this was introduced by Zulip, I started to think, well, Zulip is probably the best option that open source projects have who desire the level of transparency that is traditional in open source. A little bit about hosting. Again, Zulip is open source, so you can download it yourself, run it yourself. I've never done that. I mean, I have set up the development environment, but I've never set it up for production use, but it's definitely an option. What we use instead for my project is Zulip Cloud. So this is a cloud offering by the Zulip folks. And because we're an open source project, we get the standard option for free. So if you think you qualify for such things, I would encourage you to get in touch with them. But again, the main options here are self-hosted versus cloud. And then a little bit more about the Zulip community. I already mentioned how many contributors, over 1,600, which is amazing, especially because they're super rigorous in their standards. Like the code quality they want is it's very well documented, and they'll coach you through it. But they have very high standards of quality, I'll say, for their contributors. Extensive documentation. And then here are just a few links. They're on GitHub under Zulip, and they have their own chat instance that I've shown a few screenshots from. I like the feedback channel because it's a nice generic. I feel like I can ask anything in feedback, but there are other channels about the mobile app or the front end or whatever. Okay, so to summarize why Dataverse chose Zulip, it's open source. They have a strong, responsive community. It allows us to own our data. Let me talk a little bit about what's sometimes called data liberation. Our data, our chat messages are in the cloud, in Zulip Cloud, but they allow you to export everything. Let's say I wanted to self-host, I could do that and get a complete export. And then I also do this thing, I use a bot called Zulip Archive, where all of our web public channels, I'm just mirroring to GitHub. So that way, the data is not all just in their cloud. I have a copy on my laptop, have a copy wherever I want to get cloned that archive, I can get it. I've talked already about transparency and how important that is to us, and this web public option gives us that. Topics, again, you can stay calm when you're trying to catch up on chat messages. It's a huge help. And messages being able to move from place to place helps a lot there too. And I haven't talked too much about keyboard shortcuts, but I use them all the time, and I find it a very efficient way to navigate around Zulip. Now, Katie mentioned that she set up a instance of Zulip called CSCCE test, and you can go try it out, sign up. And then here are a few suggestions that if you do that, you might want to try. First, they recently recorded a 2-minute intro video that I think is an excellent orientation to Zulip. When you first log in, you'll have a few unread messages. I encourage you to actually read those things and follow the links and see what they're about. Everyone can have a profile, so you can go fill in your profile. And then, as Katie showed, we have a greetings topic, so you can go say hi over there. There's a sandbox channel where you can test. You can try posting a message. There are desktop and mobile clients, and then you could play around with the home view that I highlighted. And this instance is not web public like the one like I was showing for Dataverse. So don't worry, all of these messages are, not exposed to the internet. Yes, and that's all I've got. So good ways to get in touch with me. You can go to chat.dataverse.org, and that'll get you to our Zulip instance. And I have my email here as well, Philip_Durbin at harvard.edu. And that's it for me. I'm ready for questions. Thank you.